combination style.
Yeah, that's jam, man. That's real funky. I like that.
Right, so we got the image now open in Lightroom. It's not a fantastically exciting picture, but it does have a lot of potential because we've got areas of high contrast, we've got lots of light areas, lots of dark, we've got cast shadows, we've got lots of texture in the image. Applying this HDR look will, it should give us a really nice outcome. Now, I am saying a HDR look, this is not true HDR. To do that you would need 3 exposures, and we'll cover that in another tutorial. This is more of a super detailed, super textured look, but it does resemble a HDR style. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to increase my recovery and my fill light to 100, and that automatically creates quite a dramatic change. If we look here in the shadows, we couldn't see any of that detail because it was lost, because the area was extremely dark. However, because we've shot in RAW, the information is actually still there, and by increasing the fill light, all this wonderful texture has come out in the shadows. Now, we're going to also increase the blacks because we do want to bring back some of the dark areas, but if we look at the before and the after, we can see that we still have a lot of texture and a lot of detail in those areas. So I'm just going to adjust the black slightly to get a bit of contrast, and then I'm going to come into the clarity slider. Now if we zoom in here, we can see what the clarity slider is going to do. So this is at 0 and this is at 100. Now the change is fairly subtle. Let's just look at it again, 0 to 100, but what it's actually doing is it's almost sharpening, and it's kind of increasing the contrast in areas which have a difference between light and darks, and adding the clarity plus the recovery in the fill light gets us pretty close to this HDR look. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to split tone this image a little bit, just by using the split tone slider. I think I'm going to go for quite a warm look here, and I'm going to bring down the global saturation of the image, so it's more of a toned image as opposed to a color image with just some extra toning on there. So I'm just going to adjust these until I find something I quite like the look of. I'm going to come back here into the blacks, and I think I might bring the overall exposure down a little bit. It's starting to look better. Give the contrast an increase. Now a lot of this stuff you do by eye, but the main principles are recovery and fill light to maximum, clarity also to maximum, and then desaturate your image slightly, and that tends to give you this this look. Let's come in here into the texture area. Now we can see, if we just quickly do a reset, that was the before, and here we have the after. It's quite a dramatic change. I'm also going to come down here and I'm going to increase the sharpening, and let's just come into an area here and see how the sharpening is going to affect. So I like to push that up quite a bit, around about 80. Now we can see that the sharpening has really made a difference to that texture. It's brought it out quite a lot, and if we increase the radius, that will add even more to that. One of the side effects of sharpening the image is we start to get lots of noise. Now using the noise reduction, if we max that out to 100, look what happens. It starts to blend some of the pixels together, and it creates a painterly look. So let's increase that to maximum. Some of the details lost, as you can see, but we can actually bring most of that back by maxing out the detail as well. And this has a dramatic effect to the overall image. It starts to almost soften and sharpen at the same time. I know that sounds a bit of a contradiction, but it does. Let's come here into this area here, especially if we look. Let's see, zoom in a little bit more. Oh, let's move across here. This is with the noise reduction on, this is with the noise reduction off. We'll bring this up slowly. It kind of gives it a painterly look, and that's quite a nice effect. That works fairly good. So we've got noise reduction up, detail up, we've increased the sharpening, and we've also increased the clarity, recovery, and the fill light. Now, it's not complete yet. I still want to add a little bit more of a drama to this picture, so I'm going to use the graduate filter, and at the moment all the settings are 0, so when I apply this filter no change will happen. But my idea is to kind of almost frame this hammock a little bit more by simply adjusting the exposure, and I'm going to create another one just by clicking twice. I'll do this on the opposite side. Essentially we are framing the image using exposure like so, and that's kind of giving the image a little bit more drama. I really do quite like that. And we'll click that off there, and now I can just tweak things here. If I want to bring a little bit of the colour back in, if I want to take it out completely, I think I'll bring it in a little bit here. I can also adjust the temperature slider if I want to cool down the image somewhat, or bring it the other way if I want to warm the image up. Quite happy with that. I think I'll just throw a little bit more saturation in there, and I'm just going to tweak the blacks just a little bit more because I really do like my high contrast look. And yeah, that's come out pretty nice. Now we could be finished there. However, after looking at this picture, I noticed this area here is quite interesting, this hammock area just here with the shadows on the wall, and that could make for a really nice crop. So I'm just going to create a virtual copy, and I'm just going to show you what we could do here with this area. Now, like I said, we've got some really interesting shadows and details going on here, and why not make the most of it? So I'm just cropped in. I'm just going to twist this a little bit, rotate it just so that pillar is a little bit straighter. Now that looks quite nice on its own, and because I've shot with a high resolution 21 megapixel camera, I can zoom in like this and still have good quality. However, it would have been better if I would have taken this photograph originally with this composition. That would have given me the best quality. So when you are in a scene and you are taking photographs, obviously always look out for opportunities. However, in this case I've seen the opportunity afterwards and I'm still making use of the high resolution. So just tweak the blacks a little bit here, and we can see from our histogram, just by clicking this little tab here, all the blue areas are where we have pure black, so we don't have it everywhere, which is just about right, and we don't have any of the highlights blown out. Now I'm going to add more drama to this picture by simply applying the same technique as I did before, but now we've cropped the image, we have to reapply this in this smaller area. So I'm just going to bring this in like so. I'm going to click and click again, and I'm going to come down here in the opposite way. I'm just going to do an exposure adjustment right there. That's really created some drama. So what we have achieved before, after, made a massive difference. Recovery 100, fill light 100, clarity is also 100. We reduced the saturation, added a split tone effect to the image, sharpened, and also reduced the noise, which by maxing it out to 100 created a painterly look, brought back some of the detail, and we can also, if we wish, add in a slight vignette to give the image a little bit more drama. And that's how we go about achieving the HDR stroke high contrast detailed look using Lightroom.